Good day, rovers. Jian's rerun banner is fast approaching. So, today we're gonna talk about his kit, echoes, and his ideal team. Also, for the newer players, I will throw in some advice if you're struggling on who you are going to pull between Jian or Camellia. First, we're gonna talk about who you should pick that is worth your resources and time building. Between Camellia and Gian, I can see that a lot of players will pivot into pulling Camellia because we've been hyped about her character ever since version 1.0. But here's the thing, both characters are valuable. They are both worth building and spending your resources. But the question is, who do you actually need? In my opinion, if you built Havoc Rover, it is best to pull for Gian over Camellia. Here's why. So, you see, in Towers of Adversity, the floors doesn't only consist of a boss. Before you go up against a boss, you will need to fight a group of mobs that are almost the same level as the boss, and some of are kind of annoying. And this is why Gian comes in handy. Jiyan is an AoE DPS that actually excels in dealing AoE damage. His ultimate lets him transform his basic attack into a heavy attack which can group enemies. It doesn't only group the enemies but also deals a ton of arrow damage while in that state. All of his damage will come from his ultimate, so buffing as much as possible should be your priority. Jian is actually a beginner-friendly character and is not hard to use. Not only that, Jian is actually a very good character in Tower of Adversity, especially in Overdrive Zone. As for Camellia, she's not that beginner friendly, and even though she can deal AoE damage, it's not as if she can group them like Jian. That is actually the only downside of this character. Staggering or crowd controlling an enemy in this game will make your runs easier and faster. So, all in all, Jian, in my opinion, is the best pick so far. Now that we answered the first question, let's talk about his build and his team comp. First, we will talk about his best in slot weapon, the Verdant Summit. The Verdant Summit offers him a 48 crit damage at max level. And not only that, it increases all of his attributes by 12%. When equipping this weapon, after you cast your Resonance Liberation, it also increases your heavy attack damage bonus by 24% that can be stacked 2 times and lasts for 14 seconds. His next best in slot weapon is Ages of Harvest. It gives him 24% crit rate bonus, which is okay, but here's the thing. It is not beneficial to him. It buffs our resonance skill and not heavy attack damage, which is basically useless on him, excluding the crit rate it gives you and nothing to offer after that. His third best in slot weapon is Lustrous Razor, which increases your energy regeneration by 12%, and not only that, after you cast your skill, it gives you 7% resonance liberation damage that is stackable up to 3 times. It also has high base attack and attack percent, which is good for him since he also needs attack percents to be able to deal nuke damage with his ult. His best in slot 4-star weapon would be Autumn Trace, which is a battle pass weapon, and we all know some of us aren't getting that. But anyways, it has a mediocre base attack, but it gives you 20% crit rate, which is already good, and on top of that, it buffs your attack by 12% after you cast heavy attack or basic attack that can be stackable up to 5 times. The other 4-star weapon that is kind of good on him are Waning Redshift at S5. It gives higher base attack and also buffs your attack by 20%, which is stackable up to 2 times. And after you use your resonance skill, it gives you 10 resonance energy. So overall, pretty decent. Next up is Helios Cleaver at S5. To be honest, this weapon is kind of mid, and I would rather use Broadblade number 41. Which brings us to the last one, and a very generic Broadblade. It gives you 32% energy regen, and if your HP is above 80%, it increases your attack by 24%. And when it's the opposite, which is below 80%, when you use your ultimate or just dealing basic attack, it restores your HP by 10%. every 8 seconds, which makes it better than Helios Cleaver. So, overall, you should use what is available to you, and in my opinion, as a free 5-star weapon, Luster's Razor is very good on him. Now, let's talk about his best in slot echoes. The best in slot echo set is the Sheragale, which at 2-piece gives you 10% arrow bonus damage, and with 5-piece, when you use your intro skill, it gives additional arrow damage by 30% for 15 seconds. You can also use Lingering Tunes, but it's not that very good on him. You can mix and match Sheragale and Lingering Tunes together, like 2-piece 2-piece, but in my opinion, 5-piece Sheragale is much better. Now, for the 4-cost main stat, it really depends on your weapon. So, if you're using attack percent main stat, it is okay to use either crit rate or crit damage. But if you're using his signature weapon, you might wanna always look for crit rate main stat, cause in your minor forte, you only get 8% crit rate with some 12% attack. Also, the monkey is very good on him. It buffs your resonance liberation and heavy attack damage. Now, his 3-cost echo is both arrow bonus damage main stat, and his 1-cost echoes is obviously attack percent. For his echo substat, you should get crit substats and then attack percent, then heavy damage bonus, and then some ER. Now, you should build a 4-3-3-1-1 setup because it's just much better compared to 4-4-1-1-1. So for the endgame stats, you should have at least 2,200 attack, 60 to 70% crit rate, 260 to 280% crit damage, and also some energy regen because you really need to use your resonance liberation to deal damage. Just a side tip for upgrading your echoes, don't level it all up to level 25. You're just gonna waste your resources. Level it slowly but surely. Like, if you don't get 2 out of 3 substat that I mentioned earlier at level 15, don't level it all the way. Instead, destroy it to refund your resources. Now, for his forte skill priorities, unlock all the minor forte first and then level his resonance liberation all the way up to level 10. And then his forte circuit, which transforms his sword into spear and deals arrow damage. And also, it is considered as heavy attack in that state. Then after leveling his forte circuit, you should level his basic attack, which can also be converted into heavy damage when he is in the Kulong state. I didn't talk much about his resonance chain, but sequence 3 is the stopping point. So, for team composition, the best team for him is the hyper carry Jiyan with Mortifi and Verena or Shorekeeper. Mortifi buffs his heavy attack with his outro skill, and while also doing some off-field damage with his ult. When it comes to healer and overall buffer, my choice is Verena. She can just cast her E, use jump attack, and then ult, and then she can outro, and then your Jiyan is ready to go. She is that fast and easy to use, which is great especially for clearing Tower of Adversity and endgame content like Overdrive Zone. Now that all is said, Jiyan is an incredible damage dealer, but that is only applicable to his ult and he doesn't deal much damage out of it. Yes, he's the best AoE damage dealer currently who can group and parry bosses easily and very straightforward to play, but without correct cooldown management, it's kinda meh and feels clunky to use. That is all for today. I hope that it clears some thought about who you should pull for or what your account really needs. But then again, pull for whoever you want, and I'm not here to tell you to pull for meta characters. That's not what Wuthering Waves is. You really don't need 5-star characters to clear endgame content. To be honest, just build dungeon, and if you're having a skill issue, then that's all on you. So until next time, goodbye, rovers.